super producer Ryan Wall, and man, heartbreak city, man. Last weekend for our Cats, man. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, this is never a great episode to record after suffering a crazy loss. I was sitting just a couple rows up. I could see from the second Desmond Cambridge released that 50-something footer, for the win. I mean, it looked good. There wasn't a lot of defense, and he wasn't heavily covered. And Arizona State won 89-88. I just wanted to know your thoughts on this game because it was kind of a weird game. Arizona in the second half, they had a 10-point lead, 6 minutes left. In the last 6 minutes, they only had one field goal, a couple of foul shots. It seemed like to me at least, their foot wasn't on the gas, those last couple of minutes. Did you kind of feel that way? And what are kind of your overall thoughts about this game as, they were leading for most of the game and then, let it fall away?
Yeah, overall, I think we played really well. I thought the energy was good throughout most of the game. Sad played probably his best game, in a Wildcat uniform, was out there super aggressive, knocking down shots, playing all over the place. Pella had a really good game, again, and Zoo was solid. But I mean, my thing was it was free throw shooting, man. I mean, that's what it really came down to, because if you look at the stats, like we're pretty close in 2-point field goal percentage with them. Same with threes. We out rebounded them, and so it just comes down to us, failing. And then really for the first time this year, we had more problems with that last year, with the free throw shooting. But this year we've been pretty solid. This is the first game where I was like, it just came back to bite us, man. You can't give up that many free points at the free throw line. And then obviously the end, and, I think, not missing that second free throw, and then, giving them, not playing any really hard defense on them, and letting them get a clean look at running towards the basket. You never want to do that. And then, I mean, you give hats off to him because it's a shot that probably if he shot it 10 more times, he's not going to make. But, that one was all net, man. And when that went in, so you're right. I felt the same way. As soon as he let it go, I was like, uh-oh. And then it just, the sound of it going through just killed my heart, man. I was just, it was a tough game to swallow, because I thought, obviously we played well enough to win it. It's not like we made a bunch of mistakes. We just didn't get stops down the stretch. And then, I think we just made some mistakes that are probably going to help us in the long run, fixing those things at the end of games and being in those situations. But that one's just one that it just hurts, man. You can't, there's no way around it, but you just got to get past it. And, with the big weekend coming up, today and Saturday. So we got to keep moving, but it was a fun game to watch, I'm sure, for a lot of people, but that ending just stabbed me in my heart, man, for real.
Yeah. And normally we've talked about, Arizona struggled shooting the ball throughout the season this year. But normally if you would say that they would shoot over 50% from the field, over 40% from deep, they made 11 3-pointers. That's normally, that result normally could equal success. But yeah, like you said, missing 11 free throws, just they didn't look like themselves there. So yeah, I don't really make too much of it, because like Tommy Lloyd said, 99 of 100 times he might not make that shot, as you said. So yeah, it's a tough kind of call, but yeah, there still are some positives. I mean, I thought Zoo looked pretty much back to himself. Yeah. I mean, besides the defensive struggles, and then Pella, continues to score double digits, and Kerr looks pretty good too. What do you think of some of those other guys?
Yeah, I thought Pella played really well. I mean, he's continued to just be super solid for us, and increasing his offensive efficiency pretty much every game. He's shooting the ball tremendously well right now, so hopefully that continues into these last games in Pac-12 tournament and NCAA tournament. I thought Kerr played solid too. I mean, I thought he had a pretty good game, and Zoo defensive wise, I think he got a little gun shy from from what's been happening to him, in the past few games with his foul trouble. And so, when that happens, it's kind of a mental thing where it can get in your head a little bit that you don't want to be super aggressive. And I saw that at times in this game where it just didn't seem like he was a little bit scared of contact and fouling and getting himself on the bench again. So I'm sure he'll work through that, but Sad was what, my bright spot. I was happy, really happy for him, just because of the season that he's had, and him, really starting to shine, and stand out. So he played really well. I thought Courtney, did well too. He's been solid all season long. He's been shooting the ball really well too. So just like you said, the numbers are good. If you look at those numbers, should have been a win. It's just, that's a game that comes down to details and how you execute at the very end of games. And when you have a loss like that, it makes you focus on that even more. So I'm sure that, in the end, it's going to help us out at the end of games and being able to close out in different ways, because we've seen us have trouble, whether it's with pressure at the end of the games or whatever, and we've usually gotten better from that. So I expect that the same thing will happen this time.
Yeah, something else that Tommy Lloyd did that maybe some other coaches normally wouldn't do is on senior night, as it was against Arizona State, he did start Jordan Maines, who's been here for 4 years as a walk-on, and Matthew Lang, who is with Lloyd at Gonzaga for 4 years as a walk-on, came here this year. They each played 3 minutes. Jordan Maines scored the first bucket of the game. It was nice to see that. What'd you kind of think of that decision of, weighing the options of, starting and giving the walk-ons a couple minutes versus, some other coaches could say that could hurt the team in the end of the game?
If I'm a player and I'm out there looking at that, that's a great thing. I think Tommy, he preaches family, and that's what it is in the program, and that's a instance of where you see that. I mean, it was bigger than basketball a little bit in that moment. Those guys did well in their time. Didn't affect the game, and affect the game positively with getting the first basket. So I think it's a great thing that Tommy did, and I think those guys are appreciative of it for sure, and their families were, and that didn't have any effect on the ending of the game. So I thought it was a really good thing.
Yeah, I don't think it, had a big effect on the game. Tommy kind of said the same thing. But yeah, another thing that it was just cool to see was guys, like Ajolis and like Kerr, who didn't start, but, always cheering on the walk-ons and really kind of embracing that moment, let them have a moment, because all the hard work that we know they put in behind the scenes in practice. So yeah, it was really cool to see that. But any other final takeaways on this game? This game did impact the Pac-12 standings. Arizona and USC are both 13-5. We'll get into Arizona's game against USC in a couple minutes, but any other takeaways against this ASU loss? I mean, it is one of the final games of the season, but I mean, it shouldn't affect things too much.
Yeah, no, I don't think it will, just because it was as far as rankings and seeding go, we played really well in the game, and just weren't able to close it out, and they hit a miraculous shot. So, and it's also a rivalry game, which you always take into consideration that anything can happen. Obviously, it did, this time. Hopefully, that never happens again in our history, but. I don't think it's too impactful of a loss, but I think that for us as a team, it's going to help us in, like I said, in the game scenarios, and helping us improve now as we go into these 2 games, in the LA with the LA schools, and then start of the Pac-12 tournament, because we're going to have a good showing in both of those to make sure that we can get the highest seed possible. And UCLA is going to be tough. Obviously, USC has been playing a lot better lately, so it's never an easy trip, and it's not going to be for this week.
Yeah, well, there's no better way for them to prepare for the Pac-12 tournament and then for the NCAA tournament than going to California, and their first stop on the 2-game away trip in California is the USC Trojans. They're playing them tonight as we're recording this at 9 p.m. It's on ESPN, national TV. Arizona is only a 2-point favorite. It seems like the Arizona loss has impacted that betting line there. Arizona, as we know, handled USC pretty well. Just in January, they beat them by 15 points. How do you kind of see this matchup, playing out? Because AJ, we know there's no better team after a loss than this Arizona Wildcat team. Have won each of the 4 previous losses after they've won by 10 plus points. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think, if history repeats itself, we're going to come out and have a really good, performance again tonight because, that's what we've done. We've locked down, we've fixed some things and gotten better. Now, USC is playing good basketball right now. They have a good solid win against Colorado. They beat Utah by double digits. And so they're playing well right now. Any team that has Boogie Ellis on it, and Peterson is going to be a threat to us. And obviously we beat them pretty handily at home the first time, but it's always different on the road to pack. So we're going to have to be ready to go, but I expect us to come out with super high energy. On defensive end is where we need it, which we talk about every single week on this show. But I think we're going to be ready to play tonight. I don't think it's going to be a close game because these guys they need a good win too. They need a big time win for their program. But I think we're going to come out and get the victory.
Yeah, you mentioned Boogie Ellis and Drew Peterson. Arizona held them for just 7 of 25 shooting from the field. So, I mean, if Arizona can even hold them to remotely close of that, I mean, they should be in striking distance to get the win here. What's your prediction here in this first game, in the second to last game of the season and the first one here in LA?
I think we get the victory, but it'll be a single digits. I don't think we're going to run away with it. I think it could go down, to the final minutes, but I think we make plays when we need to make plays at the end of the game. In this game, we do it. And the little details we take care of and we get out of USC with a close victory. And then, get ready for the big time matchup on Saturday against UCLA.
Yeah, I think I see the same for this. I mean, I don't know why the betting line at least is just 2 points. I think Arizona, I mean, even struggling a little bit, they still put up 88 points, which is, really good. Scoring almost 90 points in a college game is fantastic. So I'm really looking for Julius Tabellas to kind of, last game, I mentioned he played a little better, but still only had 8 field goal attempts. I mean, if he can, get 12 to 15 field goal attempts, I mean, and get back into that, 22, 25 point range and really, once again, put his name back in that player of the year conversation. Because not just for, the national player of the year, but the Pac-12 player of the year, a lot of people kind of want to talk about Jaime Jaquez, who they'll see on Saturday, about being in that conversation. But I mean, I still think Zoo gets the edge because I just think people forget when you're talking about a full season about the dominant performances Zoo has. And I mean, just how special, just thinking back at that 40-point performance. I mean, what do you think about, that Jaime versus, Azuolas kind of debate?
I mean, I think this is a perfect opportunity for Zoo though, too. You know what I mean? And as a player, that's what you want is, having those 2 games on the road, getting to match up with UCLA that last game. It's a statement game for you. And, if it was me and, I was Zoo, I would want that competition. And so you get to go out there and prove it, in a big time game on Saturday against Jaime Jaquez and go out there and play well. And you're right. I mean, Zoo's had an incredible season, man. One of the best seasons I think any player at Arizona has ever had. And, now it's just a chance for him to go out there and cement and stamp that and show everybody who he is and that he is the player of the year in the conference. And I think he's going to go out there and do it.
Yeah, well, moving on to talk about the showdown of the weekend, the best matchup. It's number 4 UCLA, number 8 Arizona at Pauley Pavilion. It's billed as being sold out right now. It's Saturday night, ESPN, 8 p.m. This is a game I've been looking forward to all year because it has implications for the postseason. UCLA did win the regular season Pac-12 championship, but the tournament is still just a week away. So we'll see what happens. But these are 2 teams that, as we know each other very well. Arizona got a 6-point victory when they faced earlier in the season. What are kind of your expectations for this time around between the 2 Pac-12 powerhouses?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we proved last time that we can win with their style because they were still able to, kind of implement their style against us, at home and low scoring, defensive minded. And I think that that's going to happen again, they control the game really well. They keep scoring down, but we've been playing really well on offense. I mean, regardless of the loss, against ASU, just like you said, we scored, a ton of points in that game, and we've been shooting the ball really well from the perimeter, from the 3-point line. So, I think it's going to be it's going to be a battle. It is every single time we play those guys, and they're going to want to get some revenge from last time when we beat them at home. But what a statement victory it would be for us to go in there and get that one. And, I think with all our guys playing at the level that they can play, we can go in there and beat them. And, we've proven it once. At the beginning of the game, I think is going to be key for us to make sure that we start off with a good start, and, keep it close, or even have, hold a lead, small lead or whatever through the first half. I think we'll be in good shape, but it's going to be a battle, man. I mean, it's UCLA, Arizona. That's one of the premier matchups in the country. Those guys are really good, and they're going to be ready for us. But I think we're going to be ready and go in there and get the victory on a really. It's going to be close, though. I think below 5 points, even maybe coming down to the last shot. But I think we'll go in there and play well.
Yeah, well, the last time, as we know, Arizona won this game in January. Tiger Campbell and Jaime Jaquez. They didn't shoot the ball just like the USC guys very well. They just shot it 10 for 35 from the field. So, I mean, if Arizona's, defense on the perimeter could, keep up with those guys, I think they should get the job done, as you said. But AJ, before we go to that, I wanted to ask you about kind of, it's been, Tommy's talked about it, the team's talked about it, how, having a tough schedule towards the end of the year before the Pac-12 tournament and, March Madness starts. How do you kind of view that, and how important do you view these games when, in reality, less than a week away, there's even games that are more important where it's just single game elimination?
No, I think it's actually a good thing for us that we're having these matchups at the end of the season, because it doesn't get any easier from here. It just gets harder. And so, to play in both the atmosphere at USC and UCLA this last weekend, and then rolling into the Pac-12 tournament. I mean, this is what the NCAA tournament is like, and what it's all about. So to be in those in those atmospheres, and to give us that experience, and for us to play well there is going to bode well for us as we move into the tournament. But it's just hard, man. College basketball is hard. Playing on the road in the Pac-12 is difficult, and so. But I think it's a good thing for us. I'd rather us, be doing having these matchups than getting easy victories at this time of year. Because even if we had a close loss, or two, and we play really well, and it's a grind out game, that's going to benefit us more than having a 20-point, victory at this time of year. Yeah,
many have still projected Arizona as a 2 seed, even after the Arizona State loss. The field of 68's fielding the 68 bracket, and their guys have ranked Arizona having a 2 seed in the East right now. So, I mean, if they could split this weekend at the very least, and then, get to that championship in Vegas for the Pac-12, I mean, a 2 seed seems, likely, I would say. But as we always talk about, the seeding's not a huge deal. If you're a 2, you're a 3. You're going to have tough matchups and got to get the job done. But AJ, any other final thoughts before we get into a great guest today for this amazing weekend ahead? I mean, this is just fun, man. I mean, it's flown by. It seems like we were just talking about, what the season was going to be like, and now we're, at the last. We've been talking about this weekend in particular for a long time, and now we're here. We're still playing good basketball right now. We had an opportunity to get 2 high-level wins. I love the way the guys are playing, to be honest. And, I think we have a lot more that we can even improve on, before the tournament. So I've really enjoyed this team this year. And I'm looking forward to watching them play tonight and Saturday against UCLA, and, making a deep run into the tournament. So overall, I think it's been a better year for us, and, we can keep on trucking through and see what's going to happen in these next few games. But I like this team. I like the job that Tommy Lloyd has done. And, I'm ready for USC tonight. Yeah, well, the Tommy Lloyd era has been off to a tremendous start in these first 2 years. As we know, won the Pac-12 championship last year, Sweet 16, and you never know, could go further this year. But AJ, on today's show, who's coming up next? Yeah, so this is a special guy to me.
One of the guys that was a key component to our 1997 national championship team, emotionally and on and off the court. And he's a walk-on for us at U of A, and now is a big timer in the business world. Mr. Jason Stewart joins us next on Bear Down Ballers. All right. I'd like to welcome in now one of my brothers from way back, one of my 1997 NCAA champion teammates, a man who kept us all on the right path during our time at Arizona, and a man who looks like he just stepped out of a high-level business meeting or Men in Black, one of the two. My guy, Jason Stewart. How you doing, man? Welcome to Bear Down.
Oh, man, I'm great, man. Thank you so much, for having me, getting the invite. And you're right, it's family, and it's all good, man. It's so good to see you. It's good to see you.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you taking the time today, my man. And I've had on a bunch of guys. I had Bib on and JT, and had Quinn on, a few episodes ago, which was
okay.
Great. Yeah, always been wanting to get you on. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on, man.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm honored, man. Those are some big time names out there, and so it's but to that end, it feels like family, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like there's no statuses, no egos. Everybody's just family, and so I'm happy to be here, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it never changes, right? It don't matter how long it's been since we haven't seen each other or whatever. Just like when we were, back at checking out Coach Olson's documentary, back in August, and as soon as we get back together, it's the same old joke.
Right. It's great because you say that, and it's just for me, just seeing your face, makes me smile. You know what I mean? Like just being able to kick it with you and stuff, and so. Yeah, I'm excited, bro. I'm excited.
So let's jump on in, man. So, I just wanted, I do this, with every guest that was on our team, but just wanted to talk to you about your experience in Arizona and like what it was like for you, and because everyone has a little bit different perspective. JT and I had a different one in our kind of area that we did during the time, and everyone just has their different perspective. So can you talk about just kind of your overall experience at Arizona and your time there?
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. You kind of alluded to it, like, Stu's trying to keep us on the right path. And of course, I came from very, very humble beginnings with regards to my time in Arizona. I was a walk-on, as the fans who are listening already know. And so it's just a different path. Even I think about memories when first trying to walk on, and I needed a pair of shoes, and I'm not that tall, right? So, I'm barely scraping 6 feet, and I had a size 14, and my man Miles had a size 14 too. So I couldn't get any shoes. I was wearing a size 16 when I first, walked on.
Shoes, bro.
Yeah, so I'm putting on 3-4 pairs of socks, trying to play ball out there. Till finally I was able to break through. But what's really, I think, outstanding about all of that, it's just that no matter who you were, we all had that same line of family, right? Like at the end of the day, I think our group was so amazingly unique. And aside from the business that I do and that sort of thing right now, I also coach kids. And I can tell when I'm going to have a special group, and I can tell when I'm not. And I can get that marker from my time in Arizona, right? Like that, to me, that experience really showed me how to make champions versus just having a bunch of individuals, right, that can all do well. I mean, you look back at that squad. I mean, look at the names you just named out: Bibby and Terry, yourself, Mike D, Miles. All of these guys could have went to any other program and been the sole individual star, but don't know if we would have won the championship. And so my experience was just like, I was in awe. I felt so blessed by God to be in that position and just to see the world and be under a great coach. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you did so much for us, just for the team, man, in terms of emotionally, always being a positive influence no matter what. That year that we won a championship wasn't easy. Everyone knows kind of the story now about, how many losses we had and all that. But there was a lot of tough times during that year, man, where we were down in the dumps and people were on our back, and you always did a great job of kind of pulling us out of that and making us focus on the big picture instead of everything that was going on at the moment.
Yeah, what was maybe a lot of people don't know, Coach O, was a believer, and I believe he was Lutheran. And what a lot of people don't know is that he and Coach Roz would allow me to pray before and after games.
Yeah.
And you talk about kind of like just having a positive attitude and the emotional state. I took a lot of I don't know if pride is the right word when you're talking about faith, but I took my position as serious as possible. I'm still a young man and what have you, but I loved being around the team. I loved being able to be somebody that could intercede for my team in prayer at that time. And you're right, it was up and down year for sure. And I don't know, man. It was miraculous to me, and it just showed me like all things are possible. If you love each other, all things are possible. And people ask all the time, like, man, there's so many different talented teams at Arizona or all these other schools. I mean, look at the teams that we beat. I mean, shoot, we retired Dean Smith. That's crazy.
That's one of the best ones, man. People know. I don't know if you think a lot of people know that, man. That was his
right.
Last game.
That was his last game.
Yeah.
And it's bittersweet for me because I think I have so much respect for Dean Smith. I know Coach O did too. And all the things that he stood for, especially helping his players through civil rights movement and all that kind of stuff like that. I really, really appreciate Dean Smith. And so it's just bittersweet to see a guy like that go down. But that was a team that we beat. I mean, you look at also Kentucky and that team house, Jacques Vaughn. I mean, and Kansas and those guys. I mean, like the teams that we beat was nothing short of miraculous in my mind. And so yeah, man, people asked about that stuff. I said, you know what, we just loved each other and we never gave up. We never. The irony is I just had on ESPN like we all do, just come on home and turn it on. And what was that? 30 for 30 was on Jimmy V last night. Survive in Advance. And it just brought me back to so many great memories, man. Just love it. I love you guys.
And you have one of the most iconic pictures too of the run, man, with you laying on the floor on the low ball after we won it, man. You know what I mean?
Oh man. Well, I don't know if you remember this. I'm sure you do, but listen, I'm not too boastful to say. You start getting further along in the tournament, Coach O, of course, is spending his time and attention with you guys who are starting the game. Yeah. And so what a lot of people don't know is that while you guys were doing that, sometimes, I'll be at half court just praying by myself. Yeah. You know what I mean? It wasn't for the Final Four. I had been doing that the whole time. I guess you can look back, maybe I'm a little embarrassed about it now, but listen, man, it's part of who I am. I'm an awkward dude. It's okay.
We all love you for it, brother. And so we talked about it a little bit, but talk about the 97 run, man. And what you remember? What are some of your favorite memories from that run?
I have so many. Here's a story that some people don't know. So here we are, and we're getting ready to go play Kansas. Okay, now there's a couple of backdrops on this. One is the year before Kansas eliminated us. You remember this in Denver, right? And so here we are playing them again. I'm a year and a half, in as a member of the squad, having walked on midseason year, my freshman year. And the night before the game, I called Jacques Vaughn to say thank you. And the reason why I did that is because he was my basketball summer camp counselor. I went to summer camp over with Steph Greenberg in Long Beach. Yeah. And so I called him and be like, yo, Jacques, what's up, man? Appreciate you, man. Like that. So I called, whatever. The lady puts me through. And so I'm like, hello? Paul Pierce answers the phone. I'm like, yo, Paul. I'm like, yo, this is Jason Stewart, man, from Arizona. This is the night before the game, okay? I'm like, yo, this is Jason Stewart from Arizona, man. I said, look, I know we got to play tomorrow and everything, but I got to tell Jacques thank you, man. He was my camp counselor. And I could tell Paul doesn't know what to do. He's like, what the hell is going on around here? And so anyway, so he puts Jacques on, and Jacques was like, hello? I'm like, yo, man, I just want to say thanks. You was my camp counselor in summer. You inspired me. I walked on to Arizona. Look, best of luck tomorrow, whatever. And then we proceed to go out the next day and win, which was amazing. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, but that was a great memory. The week before that for me We got my roommate was Gene, at the time. And Gene at that time, very, very handsome guy. We all attracted the ladies. And we're coming back from a team dinner to our hotel. And we were in Memphis. And there was some nice looking ladies at the hotel. And I remember that this one girl, her name was Candy. I'm not even telling you no lie. Her name was Candy. and Candy was like, hey, what you guys doing later tonight? And I was just thinking, oh, Jesus, please don't. I can't get into trouble, man. I can't get into trouble. And so anyway, I just, stayed strong. I made it through the temptation and we were able to win. I think little things like that mattered for me anyway. And, those are some of my great memories, but of course, the games. I really am in awe of the fight that we put out on the floor. Man, you guys is balling your butts off, and no, seriously, man, seriously, we had our backs against the wall several times. And a lot of those games we could have lost with just the ball bouncing the other way. And I just remember this string of little tiny miracles that helped us to win the championship. And I changed all of our lives. Changed all of our lives, man. That's what I remember. Final Four. Oh man, Indianapolis. Just Coach O was awesome. We got a chance to be a part of the experience, get out, run the streets a little bit in the daytime, and just seeing all the people dressed in their colors and singing out their school fight song, all of that stuff, man. That moment was above me. It was above me. And just honored.
For all of us, man. I mean, those memories is something, you're never going to forget, obviously. And
yeah.
You get to relive it every year, which is even better when it comes around March time.
Right. That's right. It's this time of year, man. It's this time of year. I still think our one shining moment was better than anybody else's,
I watched it yesterday. I'm watching it again.
Right. Get goosebumps every single time, man. Every single time, man. Yeah, man. Glory to God. It was just awesome, bro. Really was. Really was.
We talked about it a little bit. I mean, about the relationship with, Coach O and Roz, but we had a very unique coaching staff too, which was, I think, a big part of our journey too. A bunch of great guys, all different. But talk about your relationship with Coach O and how he impacted you as he did with all of us.
Yeah. Again, I mentioned his faith because he allowed me to pray. And Coach Roz is great. I think every successful coach has a coach that's with them that's like a glue guy.
Yeah.
And I thought Matt Brazzi said it best at Coach's Memorial when he introduced Coach Roz and really spoke to Coach Roz, because he was a guy who would come up to me and made me feel like I mattered. Here I am, as a walk-on, and there's so many more important guys and so forth and so on from a basketball standpoint. But he made me feel like I mattered, and he gave me his time and attention, and that went a long way. You talk about Coach O, listen, you can't take anything away from his ability to keep us, because he's a part of Coach Roz and allowing Coach Roz to formulate that culture. So at the end of our championship, we won and everything. We're back in Tucson. I'm getting ready now for what is our junior year, same class. So I'm getting ready for our junior year, and I get a call from the financial aid office, and they say, hey, know your mom's a single mom and all of that, and you guys have done the best you can, but there's no more money for you. You got to go home. I'll never forget that. You got to go home.
I never knew that, man.
They were like, you're out of student loans. You got to go home. And I'm sitting in the office shaking, wait a minute, we just won a national championship. This is my family. This is come on, man.
Right.
I'm sorry, Jason. And I just went home in prayer and I worked my butt off, just trying to get established residency in Arizona. I worked for Copper State Bolton Nut, I worked with those guys. The Eller School College of Business, I worked for them that summer. I did Coach O's camp. I did Coach Bonvicini's camp. I worked any job that I could to make as much money as possible. And then finally, I wrote a letter to Coach O. just a note because he was busy traveling and stuff in the summertime. And I just say, hey man, like it's not about basketball. I want to be able to get my degree, and I want to be able to finish. And as fate would have it, coach found value in me and found it in his heart to allow me to have that scholarship that, you know, they usually keep a scholarship they're sitting on. And there was one player, I'll keep him unnamed, who was ineligible to come in that year. And as a result, there was opportunity. And so I'll never forget Coach O and his decision to keep a walk-on, you know, in the program by giving me a scholarship. And that, again, just changed my life, you know. So, yeah, I'm eternally grateful to him for that. Changed my life.
He'd be proud of you looking at you right now, too, in that suit. You know that?
Yeah, man. So, I think about that sometimes. He's looking down on all of us, bro.
He is, man. He is. So let's talk about 98, though, man. You talked about a little bit our junior year. Why do you think we did? I mean, I say this all the time. We were a machine that year. Like, we were so much better than the year before when we were able to, you know, take the trophy. But that year we were just, I mean, 27-0 runs on teams, you know, Mike D scoring, you know, 30 and a half, like crazy stuff that we did that year, and, you know, just ran into, you know, a buzzsaw. But what were your thoughts on why you think we weren't able to get back to the 4 that year and win? Because I have my own, you know, thoughts on it. And everyone kind of has their own perspective on it. So what's yours on that year?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say this. As a walk-on, 98 was the best year ever. Because I'm not getting in unless we got the spread. Coach got the spread coming, right? Yeah. So we was, like you said, a machine just killing folks. The confidence that we had was beyond, right? Like, it was almost like we were the Golden State Warriors before the Golden State Warriors existed. Yeah. I mean, to your point, just going on runs. And so I got the most minutes ever. And I'm out there just balling. Like, come on, man, I'm about to get my 4-5 minutes in tonight.
Get your 2 threes in there, man. You know what I mean?
Man, I'm gonna put them up, you know. Yeah, it was a great year from that standpoint, and just seeing us play at that level. But I'll tell you, as a high school coach, and my team here in San Diego won CIF title last year. And so here we are in a position where we're trying to repeat as champions. And I now understand in a different way what it is, how difficult it is to repeat. You just look at sports in general, at any level, it is so challenging to try to repeat. So a lot of respect to the coaches and the teams that are able to do that. And some of that is because everybody you see, and Coach talked to us about this all the time, is giving you their best. Right. You were the underdogs the year before, but now you got a target on your back, and that's a different, and we rose to that occasion. But what's also interesting, and I'm not here to say that I know all the answers, but I think what's also interesting is that here we are getting ready to face Utah. And listen, we're buzzing through everybody in the tournament, okay? You got to give credit to Majerus, who's like, he's desperate. I could not continue to do what I've been doing the whole year. I remember in our preparation practices, Miles asked, like, yo, like, what kind of defense do they run? Do they do anything different? And the staff was like, no, this is what you're going to see. This is what you're going to get. And then we get out there and they change their whole thing for us, right? And we all sitting there like, yo, what is this? This was not in the scouting report. Teams had a different reverence for us. Yeah. And, you know, Kevin Durant says this all the time, you know, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. We worked hard, there's no question about it. But I also think that there was an element by which their coach decided, we got to do something that's unorthodox because these guys are running through. And surely it's not the end all be all answer, but I wish that we had met that creativity with a different type of creativity ourselves, right? Like just some sort of an in-game adjustment. I watch Coach Steve Kerr sometimes, and you'll see Coach Popovich do this, and Kerr came from Popovich before. Now, this may be a myopic answer, so I'm going to tell you this right now. But they'll just throw all the bench out there, right? Yeah. Like, hey, we'll throw all the bench out there because I know you ain't got a scouting report on them.
Right.
And I think about guys like John Ash. I think about different guys that we had a scouted bench, right? You think about these teams that win championships. Well, there's the guys who are on the bench who practice with these guys every day.
Yeah.
You know, they ain't shabby. They ain't the top level, but they ain't bad either.
Right.
And quintets and like what it would have looked like to put some of these guys who can stroke the ball out in the game. Because let's say Quinn gets hot, they got to come out that triangle too.
Right.
They got to do something. And just throwing them off balance a little bit could have been an answer. But in that position, bro, like, you know, gosh, we were all just.
It was shocking. It was shocking.
It was unbelievable. I'm literally sitting there like, what is happening? And then these fools don't even go on to win it all. They lost.
I know, man.
You know?
Yeah, come on, man.
Gosh.
Then I had to go I got drafted with Andre Miller the next year after my senior year, and had to hear about it all over again, man. I'm still mad, bro.
Dude, he was coaching the team out here in San Diego. I see him out there, coach. Oh, man, get out of here.
Yeah, Dre's a good dude though. But
yeah, he is.
He gave it to us that day.
Yeah. You know, you got to give him a lot of credit, man. They changed what they did, and they followed their coach to a T. And that speaks to the trust and loyalty that they had in their program at that time, right? So you got to take your hat off to them.
Still terrible, man. I still think we would have made it to the 4. We would have won it. We would have won the game.
Oh, there's no question. The way we was going through teams, man. Like I said, we were the Golden State Warriors before the Golden State Warriors at that season.
That year was crazy, man. I try to tell my kids all the time, like, you don't know what kind of team we had that next year, man.
Man,
something else.
Gosh, yeah, brother.
So let's dive into you a little bit, man. You just mentioned it a little bit about the repeat, trying to repeat. You're the head coach in San Diego. You guys won the San Diego Division III championship last year, right? So talk to me about what that journey was like, how your current season is going, and kind of what it's like, coaching high school kids now after being at such a high level in college basketball.
Yeah. I see it in ways as carrying on the legacy of our coach and others that have added into my life. I think about the late, great Mr. Chambers as well, who helped me in high school. And so I've been doing this 20 plus years now. First in Tucson, I coached at Push Ridge Christian Academy. They gave me my start, and then I just kept doing it. And I guess maybe moonlighting and mortgages, and then now moonlighting as a headhunter in the pharma and biotech world. But basketball has always been constant in my life. And last year was so unpredictable. In a lot of ways, it was like us in 97, where here I am getting ready to go in. And we had been working our way up to a great program for many years. And then last year, I had a couple of kids that I knew since they were little, 3rd, 4th grade. And they had gotten, maybe bounced around a little bit in a couple of different programs, and COVID hit. And then by way of circumstances, they ended up, coming over to my school. They were an amazing talent combined with some of the pieces that we already had. And as a coach, sometimes your challenge is trying to get everybody to buy in, and, different systems, different things that's going on, and getting everybody to do that. Our core values allow us to do that. So our guys were able to go through a season to feel comfortable with each other, and then get that confidence to dominate. And then we just started dominating towards the end, and play some really respectable schools in order to eventually win the championship. And so now here we are. The year after that, I graduated 6 seniors, and that's a big load. That's a big load. And that said, you take that away, but then also add that now everybody's giving us their best, right? Oh, you guys are defending champs. Oh yeah, we coming after you. I always think about Tiger Woods, and they say in his prime, other golf, like there's this Tiger Woods edge. Just knowing that you're going to play him puts something in your mind, but also makes you focus. And we experienced that. So it was a bit of a challenge this year. We did get eliminated in CIF playoff by Lincoln here in San Diego, who went on to win the championship, right? So a lot of respect there, and happy for their program and their coach. But yeah, the leadership aspect of coaching, man, is I like to look at it as a partnership. Like Coach O allowed us to be who we were. He still pressed us to challenge us to be the best, but also he wasn't domineering, right? He's never disrespectful. And I think some of the adjustment that I've had to make is to understand that younger kids need a little bit more discipline in some regards. So I have to give that sometimes, but I find myself always trying to get back to like that Coach O style of like, hey, we're going to start the season tough, but by the end of the season, I want to have a partnership, right? And that's how it's been. So we're potentially, just retooling now for next year. Like I said, season's over now, and we got to get in the weight room. Improvement happens in the off season.
Absolutely, man. You're doing a great job over there. Can you talk a little bit about, you mentioned what you do for work now. You talk about how kind of sports correlates to, your job now and kind of the things that you took from Coach O and U of A that you apply now to your current role, and talk about what you're doing now.
Yeah. Let me say this first and foremost. You can win with integrity. Yeah. And I learned that with Coach O and our program and the guys we had. I think that we had an integrity standard, a moral standard that I apply to my business today. And I think that people respect that. That doesn't mean I can do business with everybody, but those who recognize that, they gravitate towards you. So my business now is I am a headhunter in the pharma space nationwide, right? So you talk about, Johnson & Johnson, you talk about Biogen, you talk about Genentech, Novartis, some of these folks I've been fortunate enough to recruit for. And now I've started my own business. So we have a minority-owned business now that is budding and growing, and I'm parlaying those relationships. And those relationships exist because of that integrity, that work ethic that these people have seen in me, and they gravitate towards me. And so now that business is growing. But I think that people who play the sport understand, and I think if I'm addressing someone out there in your audience who's maybe pro academics and doesn't understand the value of sport, sports is dynamic in multiple fashions. But sports brings out the best in everybody because it forces you to go through adversity. And there's no secret, I live in a pretty affluent, place here in North County, San Diego. And I find that adversity is not as frequent, let's say, as it was in Los Angeles and Inglewood, where I grew up. And so the kids who actually come through our program, regardless if they're the superstar or if they're the last guy on the bench, are facing adversity. The superstar is like, how come everybody's not as good as me? You guys don't work hard enough, right? And then the last guy is like, I want more playing time, coach. I'm in the gym and I'm working hard, and so everybody's going to get to this level of adversity, and then your ability to persevere through that individually and now build your character so that as a team, collectively, you can get through the adversity on the court. And I got a lot of that just from my experience, at Arizona. So much so, man. Yeah. Awesome.
It's great to see you out there doing good things, man. Doing big time things. We all knew it was going to happen. We all knew it was going to happen. You're doing it.
Man, listen, I like I said, I'm honored to be around such great folks like yourself. I know you do a lot of stuff for charity. You've done a lot of stuff, in your time, and all the work that you do. I'm grateful. Thank you for that. But I think you can look at a lot of Coach O's stock, a lot of the kids that came out of that program and are giving back in some form or fashion. Most of us are giving back in some form or fashion, and it's just to his legacy. And I think Tommy Lloyd, the coach that we have right now, he's impressing me, right? He's impressing me. And when you talk to people in the community, they have a level of respect for him and talk to his players. So I'm excited about his future at Arizona. I don't know if he wants to make Tucson his home indefinitely, but I definitely think that he's got a great culture that he's starting at Arizona.
Yeah, he's done a heck of a job in a short period of time of just getting us back on track to where we needed to be, man.
Yeah.
Tommy's great. How did that shot going in last weekend against Arizona State hurt your heart?
Oh, brother. So you know what the irony is? Here's the irony. That day, I'm supposed to go to a wedding, and my buddy, it was the wedding ceremony afterwards, right? The reception. He's a U of A guy. Yeah. And then all of his frat buddies were there and everything like that. I said, dude, we're not even gonna mention it. We're not even gonna mention it, bro. I mean, come on, this dude is hitting a shot from behind half court.
Come on, man.
God. Oh.
As soon as he let it go, though, I was like, uh-oh.
Oh, man. Oh, man, all them devils was dancing that day.
I know,
they was
man.
dancing
For
that
one
day.
day. We'll let them have one day, you know.
Yeah, they get one day. Hey, I still wanted to be known that during our tenure at Arizona, we never got beat by Arizona State.
Right.
Never, ever have I ever suffered a loss from them Devils.
Right.
Never.
It's one of my crowning achievements, brother.
That's right. Amen, brother. Amen.
Right.
Hey, listen, they had some up years, but they ain't never had none on our watch.
Not at all. Not at all. All right. The last thing before I let you get out of here, okay? I'm going to mention these different names, okay, of guys that played with us, and then I want one or two words that describe these guys, okay? So I'm going to go through a list. Then you're going to give one or two words that describes these fellas, okay?
Oh,
right,
man.
Start Mike Bibby.
Oh, Mike, how can I say? Funny and like a humble confidence. That's what I'm saying. Humble confidence.
I like that.
Humble confidence.
All right. Mike D.
He was a black gymnast. This guy, this dude would be like the most acrobatic ballerina, you know. Remember when he got hurt and he had to wear that mask for a little bit? I swear we'd be in practice.
We were boxing at the rec center. That's what me and him were messing around.
Dude,
yeah.
When he had to wear that mask, he looked like the Black Phantom of the Opera. Yeah. Because the dude was he was amazing. Yeah. He's my black gymnast.
There you go. That's good. I like that. Bennett Davison.
Oh, B-Nut. What can you say? This guy is he's corny, funny. B-Nut just makes everything go down smooth, man. Yeah, you know, Coach O be fussing, this guy crack a joke. We just
that's right.
Golly. I witnessed him and Rick Anderson in the conversation one time with Donnell Harris.
Oh, wow, yeah. Donnell is on my list, so Donnell is up next for you.
Dirty. Oh, hey, cold-blooded when it comes to shooting free throws, right? Donnell's he's a closer. Yeah. and the rest of us was drinking Gatorade on the side. He had Pepto-Bismol.
That's right. All right, Justin Wessel, Weeze.
Oh, the Weasel. Listen, man, he's still my guy. He lives down the street over here. Weeze is Mission Impossible because he was on the hood of the car and got thrown off.
Yes.
Oh, he's Tom Cruise. So, yeah, that's my guy.
All right, JT, Jason Terry.
Oh, Sax. Dude, what can you say, man? This guy, Dirty Bird, man. Like I just remember he was so infectious with his smile, right? The quick as lightning. Yeah, I would have to call him Flash. You know, before he was a Jet, he was so fast. As a walk-on, I'm trying to bring the ball up against this guy in practice. And I remember one time I turned my head to see if Coach O was going to call a play or whatever I was getting ready to do. And I heard this wind. I look down, the ball is no longer here. And I look over there, JT already laying the ball up on the other end. Dude stole the ball right out of my hands. That dude was, God, a cookie monster. Just went in there and took my cookies and was gone. He was that fast. So, yeah, Flash.
Captain 211.
Dude, I'm telling
you. All right. Your roommate, Eugene Anderson.
Dude, what can you say about Gene? He's a throwback enforcer. And he was the equalizer, right? We see the movie The Equalizer. Yep. Gene was the equalizer before the equalizer. Okay. You know, I'm not gonna put too much of this stuff out there, but Gene was Draymond Green before Draymond Green. You know what I mean? Like, but just respectable guy. Now he's working in law enforcement. He's still the equalizer, the enforcer. So love him.
All right, last one, AJ Bramlett.
Oh man, you my guy. So So for you, I think about a quiet lion, and I say that because you bring a lot of smiles. You know, I see your face. Everybody sees your face. We all smile. You have an infectious laugh. But I remember how you used to change and just be a beast out on the court. You know, we got out there and we're going through that run, man. You became, you know, I think about the old Kobe Bryant commercials, like the same animal, different beast, or different beast, the same animal. You know what I mean? Like that was you, and you were ferocious on the court, man. But still, just a smiling, a happy dude off the court. And yeah, man, I always admired that and appreciated that, you know. So yeah, that's my sack story.
I appreciate that, my brother. That means a lot to me, man. For real, for real. So
seriously, man. Seriously, man. Seriously.
Look, Jay Stu, this is wonderful, my brother. I appreciate you coming on with me today. Hopefully we'll get you back in. Hopefully we're going to take care of business this week at the LA schools and have a good run through the tournament this year and get back to the fore and just keep doing what you're doing in the community, man, raising up those young ball players and to be great human beings and community members. We're all proud of you, man. And thank you for joining me today on Bear Down Ballers, my brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It's been an honor. And thanks not just to you, but I know you got a staff of people that work behind you to put this together. And you guys are doing an A1 show, man. So just appreciate you, man. Keep doing your work, too.
Appreciate you, man.